a rather random little painting made with acrylic pens, they're called. They're really nice. It was just, we were outdoors in Bad Vöslau. It's a town next to Baden, the town where we're living currently, in a small apartment. And there was this little church, and we sat in the grass on the field on this little hill, on this little footy hill, and we gazed down at the little, nature and streets and little apartments. And there was also a little church next to it. And I thought, hey, let's just make a little sketch, a little painting of that. And then I just added some, funny, colorful grass in front, and that's how this came to be. So just a little sketch. And then the next one. This one is the underdrawing that I made for the Little Book of Big Questions. I don't know if you can see it, it's right here, a little bit cut off. The Little Book of Big Questions, a book that I wrote last year and published last year, and also I made the cover for it. And so the process for this is, I started drawing it, and I at first I thought about having the face from the front, looking directly at the basically at the reader, at you. But then I tried this out and it looked a bit weird, and I thought, okay, let's go with the 3/4 classical depiction, and I'm not happy with the face too much, but I was really happy with the crystals on top of the head. I thought, let's make this a unique cover where the crystals grow out of the head, and showing the wisdom in a figurative, very very blatant way in on the one hand, but on the other hand, a very, I think, nice and colorful way. So here it's the colored version. So as you can see here, the underdrawing, and what I do is, how I do this process for covers at least, is I make the underdrawing on a piece of paper, then I scan it in with the printer. Then I print it on a different piece of paper. This is a watercolor paper, so it's a little bit thicker and it's able to absorb water more without, dissolving and getting all crumbly and smudgy and things like that. But this is actually, most of it, the face is watercolor and the hair is a little bit watercolor, but most of it is actually alcohol markers. For the crystals it worked really well, so I'm really happy with this one, how the crystals came out. Then I have this, which is, I wasn't really happy when I finished this, because it was just to try out, basically. As you can see, the borders here, it got ripped because I used tape. I wanted to because I saw it, a lot of other artists do that, where they put the tape outside on the outer edges, so that you have this white line, this white frame surrounding the painting, and then in the middle I used gouache and just painted some nature scene that I had in my head. But yeah, it got a little, it's not the finest one, especially with the ripped paper here. And then the next things I wanted to show you are these, which I'm very proud of because they're very personal. They are quite deep. There's a deep emotional connection to these drawings / paintings for me. This is Daedalus. This was the first one I made, I think, last year in January or February, I believe January, and drawing and then making the ink outlines and then using watercolors. I think watercolors and maybe a little bit of alcohol markers, but I don't know, I don't think so. And then I scanned it in with the printer, and then I used Affinity Designer, which is like a Photoshop alternative, and then I made the background digitally, so digital painting, but most of it is traditional, on paper, analog painting and drawing. And then I make a poster artwork out of it, a high quality art print, whatever you want to call it, which, by the way, you can purchase on my site. I will show the finished version of this also. I will edit that in. So this is Daedalus for my book Chronicles of a Myth, which is still in the making, that I haven't honestly touched since a long time, since I think 7 months or so. I didn't write in that book because there were so many other things, and I got distracted with other art projects. So yeah. This is Athena, a very, I would say, modern depiction of Athena. I even labeled it here. a very modern depiction of Athena, and I wanted her to have this, of course, Athena, the goddess of strategy and warfare, but also the arts and the crafts and the patroness of the arts and craftsmen and of artists. So a very diverse figure, a very, very high goddess, you could say, with a lot of skill and a lot of strategy and a lot of planning behind her. But what I wanted to depict her was this younger version that has this mixture between, yes, this she's very feminine, but she also has this masculine vibe to her, right? This little bit mixed energy, like masculine, feminine energy blending together, and then this rock structure outside. And yeah, also the clothes that she's wearing, very unusual, right? You wouldn't expect a goddess to wear something like this. You would expect her to wear some really fancy, golden, glamorous armor with, I don't know, diamonds and all kinds of fancy embellishment. But I wanted to make it really low-key, almost as if she wants to blend in with society and with the citizens that she's protecting and she's a patroness for. The next one we have is Taiki, aka the goddess of fate. Taiki, the Greek name of the goddess of fate. Of course, in Latin, it's, or the Roman version, the Latin version, because there's always these parallel pendants in the Roman version, right? Is Fortuna as well, the goddess of fate. And my depiction is, I wanted her hair to flow, and it's a goddess, I know, but I wanted her to have this mix between mystical, very sensual atmosphere around her, very sensual woman on the one hand, and on the other hand, like super powerful. Like you look at her from a distance, you already know, okay, this is a figure, this is a character emanating power, right? And then I wanted this very fancy embellishment in her hair and chain, and these lines going over her face, this makeup, but it's not really makeup, it's actually, I imagine it is glowing lines, you know. And this is the underdrawing, then scanned in, printed on watercolor paper, and then again also hand painted with watercolor, with gouache, with gel pens. The white lines, the highlights are gel pens, and black ink pens, as well as a little bit of alcohol markers, I think. I'm not sure. In there, most of it is watercolor and black ink for the outlines. And I was really happy with the outcome for this. And then, of course, I scanned in once again and put into the program, into the design program, and then the background I made digitally as well for Taiki. Then the last one of this series. In total, it should amount to more than 20. I hope to continue this year. I want to start a bit after our trip to Greece, because in 2 weeks we're going to go to Greece, which I'm looking forward greatly. So it will be more characters on the rise, and I hope I get inspired to continue also the music compositions and to write the book, and yeah, so to tie everything in. So this is Emperor Minos. You probably didn't recognize him. He's not depicted as an emperor originally, but rather King Minos in the Greek myth tales. King Minos, but I wanted him to be an emperor. That's why I also wrote here Emperor Minos. And this is the underdrawing, and he's got a rather small stature, right? He's not very tall, which you can tell, but he's very muscular, or comparatively muscular, and he has this long drapery around him. This is the painted version, again scanned in, printed on watercolor paper, and then most of the colors you see here are gouache. So with the other ones it was more watercolor, sometimes a little bit gouache mixed in, but here it's primarily gouache because I wanted his skin tone to be more, to have a starker contrast, right, especially to his white hair and to his white eyebrows. And I wanted his gaze to be both like very dedicated, very purposive, relating to his purpose, of course, very weighed down by his thoughts, by his mind, by the decisions he makes. He's a very conflicted, very internally conflicted and complicated character. So on the one hand, he has passion and he has love for at least some members of his family, but most of his persona or most of his choices are driven by deep complexes and deep trauma, which of course doesn't apologize his actions, because he's you could say a tyrant in the book. He's having flat out tyrannical features and behaviors and mannerisms, but at the same time he's very conflicted, and there's more depth, there's more layers to him, right? And that's what I wanted. I hope you can see it. That's what I wanted to depict in his face. Like this, there's this glint of sadness, there's this weariness around the eyes, the wrinkles, and there's also this deep lost in thought, but not in a good way. It's not like Daedalus' character, if you compare, he's lost in thought, which you might not see in this depiction here, but in the book he's lost in thought a lot of times, but that's because of his inventiveness, because of his creative internal force and his drive to create something benevolent and something great for humanity, right? But at the same time he's also deeply conflicted. So these two, that's why I also wanted them to look in the opposite directions. They are kind of, there's more relation, there are more parallels than you might think on first glance, but at the same time they are also very, very different personas, very different characters, but both very difficult. So that's for Chronicles of a Myth. Then I have these drawings here. Let's start with this one. This is for another book that I started, but unfortunately also didn't find the time yet to continue, the time or the motivation, both basically. So this is for a book called Stardust Harmonia, and as you can see, it's with all kinds of fantasy characters. This is a town called Melpur. That's inhabited by cats. So this is a levitating rabbit librarian, also from the book Stardust Harmonia. So it's going to be an illustrated book with watercolor ink illustrations, and it has this fantasy, sci-fi, colorful, explosive creativity, Alice in Wonderlandian flair to it, but it's very I wouldn't say it's necessarily childish. The story is very deep, at least to me personally. The story is going to be very deep. I have finished around the first quarter of the book, I would say, and the first third of the drawings, you could say. But I also stopped due to other things happening around me and other tasks I had to follow through with, and I don't know how to say it really. This is another drawing that my wife likes it a lot. It's called The Legend of Melpur. It's a statue where this is the main character, and she's arriving in this wasteland where she has to find a certain character in the book without spoiling anything, and she arrives at this statue and she has to figure out how to continue her journey, and there is a little hint with the book. Stagmizia is a city, is a place that's hidden, and she has to figure out how to get there, basically, through the means of this statue. I won't spoil it. Then we have this. Which is, I don't know if you can see it properly. It's a palace cat, a very big chunky cat, and the main character is riding on top of it and has this golden fierce look in her eyes, right? And this little blue butterfly is a companion, a sidekick of the main character that will also play an important role in the book. Again, I won't spoil it, but that's another one of the paintings / drawings that I made last year. Then another one is this here, about or depicting this robot harnessing some nectar from the trees. And this is basically a fancy, colorful fairy forest, levitating, hovering above the sky, up in the sky. Then we have this one, which I personally like a lot. This is inspired by a real place, and I just switched it up and made it more fantastical, of course, and added all kinds of colorful little mushrooms and plants, and changed basically the color scheme of it, and then added the sign, walk at your own risk. But the staircase going through a forest pathway is inspired by a real place that we hiked in, also in Bad Vöslau, the town next to our town. And yeah, that was just a beautiful day, and I was inspired, and I started drawing this, and then I was like, hey, I want to implement this in the book, why not? And then the last one I want to show you is this one, Ganesha, or Ganesh, some like to call him, the elephant god, the elephant god Ganesha, who is you could also say, patron of the arts and craftsmen and creativity and music and dance and singing and humor, of course. So he's very multifaceted and very light-hearted and just very constructive, positive energy, and the removal of obstacles. And I love Ganesha, and I had to depict him. And yeah, most of it is in gouache, painted in gouache, black ink, some alcohol markers, and some acrylic pens. I hope you enjoyed this little tour of my sketches. It's not a sketchbook tour. I wanted to make a sketchbook tour, but then I realized I don't have a sketchbook at the moment. A few years ago I had really basic doodles and scribbles, but still it was a sketchbook. But this one is more like, okay, these free paper, I don't know how to call it, so you will see what I labeled it in the title already, but I just wanted to show you these little works, these paintings and drawings and concepts that I had, some of them mixed media, most of them mixed media, some of them for books, for covers, some just like that because I felt inspired to. And it's interesting when you look at your work, when you think about it, you're like, oh man, last year I didn't accomplish nearly as much as I wanted to. Like I didn't even, like 5% of what I aimed to accomplish, I didn't accomplish. It's only 5% of what I wanted to accomplish. That's what I want to say. But then when you look at it and you go through the drawings and paintings, you actually realize, hey, I made some things, right? I made some things, and I'm happy with some of those things, quite happy with some of those things. With others, of course, you would improve, you would change it up now a bit, but it's all a journey, right? It's all a journey, it's all a learning in progress, a work in progress, and it's there to be enjoyed in the moment, but also then the result, because now when I look at the result, I'm like, yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm very more than being proud, which is already cool. If you can be proud of your work, that's, I think, a very high state in the sense of being an artist, But if you are grateful, that's such a blessing. If you can be grateful. Today also was painting. This is the painting that I'm doing right now for the next video. I don't want to spoil it. Also, I want to keep it a little surprise for the next video, for the next art video. But when I was painting today outside for throughout half an hour, which is, I feel, at least for me, it's a long time. For half an hour, I felt this overflowing sense of love while painting. I felt this gratitude for being able to do these things, for being allowed and for being capable to paint. And I was just so connected with the painting process, so connected with the motive. It's a flower painting, spoiler, so floral painting with acrylics. And after 5 minutes of sitting down before that, I was a bit like not feeling. I wanted to focus on making a YouTube video because I want to put in more effort to the YouTube channel. But then I was like, okay, I need, of course, some material to show for the channel. So let's continue this painting that I started almost 2 weeks ago. And I don't know why, just stopped. And then I didn't have time, of course, in between. Then we were away for a little trip. And then when you come back, it's like this, yeah, let's do something more productive, you know. But in the end, that's what, as an artist, that's what makes you thrive, right? That's what makes your heart throb with passion and love and gratitude and all these things, and what makes you feel connected to yourself, to your inner child, to you as a soul, to your essence, and to your art, of course, and also to other people. I think through art is, as much as it is a self-sufficient energy machine or energy mechanism, whatever you want to call it, it is also a connector, a reconnector to your own heart and to your own inner child. And it is a communicator, right? Art is a way to communicate with other people through pictures, music, through sound, through impressions. That doesn't have to be words. Now I'm talking a lot in this video, I realize, but art doesn't have to be just words and just spurting it out into the ether and waiting for some results, some echo. Right? Art has an immediate effect, has an immediate echo and an immediate energy transfer. And I hope that that transfer is positive and uplifting and life affirming. And yeah, so thank you for watching this video. If you like my content and you're not already subscribed, please do so. Please leave a comment, please leave a like. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, see you next time.